We, the coalition does now own one of these arrays, and one of the questions will be, how do we allow other groups to use it? Because there are obviously a lot of technical questions in order to do the mapping and all parts of it. So what's part of what we need to be talking about and working out how that next step will be? Because I know that some people want to already do the Delavan Lake area and Turtle Creek, and somebody else has mentioned other stream systems. But now, so what? When it really comes down to it, for us to make a difference, everybody has to do something. We all have to be part of this. We can't be pointing pictures. Where did that come from? We can't be pointing fingers. I am very tired. I got about 3 hours sleep last night. I'm not used to sleeping in a tent on a little tiny air mattress. So I have a question. You should all be able to get A's on this. You should all know the answers. But when you look at the types of stuff that can get into streams, what are the number 1 and 2 things that cause problems, or 3? We have it back there. If you'd spend some time coming. What are they?
Soil.
Soil. When it gets into a stream, the number 1 pollutant in a lot of ways, for especially small streams, is soil, sediment, washing in, filling in the habitat for all the little critters that need to live there, warming the stream, changing the oxygen levels, and making it so that the stream is not meeting its designated use. So sediment is one of the things. So I want you thinking about what can you do personally to reduce the amount of sediment coming from what you do in your life, from your homes, your businesses. What's something you could do to reduce sediment?
Rain gardens.
We had a rain garden. And a rain garden is simply, I like to call it a depressed garden, and I feel sorry for the little garden. But it's instead of a raised garden, it's a garden that's been dug out, and so sediment and water goes in there. And the number 1 thing we need to do is keep that water on our property. And then it won't wash things off and into the stream through either directly through ditches from farm fields or through your storm drains. So number 1 thing we can do is keep the water on the land. If you don't have water running off, you don't have sediment getting into your streams. So rain gardens, keeping a good turf so you don't get a lot of erosion can be something. And of course agriculture and construction sites are the 2 places that we get the most sediment coming from, keeping things from eroding. So you heard from Mark, he showed a bunch of little pie charts. What are the next 2 issues? Where the streams in the Rock River Basin are impaired for sediment and phosphorus. Phosphorus is a nutrient. It grows algae, as you heard from Nancy, and it grows rooted plants. And where are those from?
We all do it.
Manure. Okay, I heard 2 of them. We all do it. My grandson from 20 years ago, we all flush. And when you flush, that water goes somewhere and it gets treated, and part of the treatment ends up with phosphorus leaving the plants. So one way, so of course you can't stop using that. But if you're a taxpayer and your wastewater treatment plant has to do more to reduce phosphorus, just recognize that that's a major issue and provide the support that's needed to put in those controls. And the other one I heard was manure. So that, of course, isn't something that you and I can do, but in our agricultural world, there's a number of things that can be done where the animals poop, as well as where that poop is spread, to keep it from coming out into the waterways. When I go into cities, You know what I hear a lot of? Pick up after your dogs. And I used to laugh at that. I would be up here and very seriously saying a major source of pollutant in our urban areas is our little puppy dogs. And I go, really? So I did some research. Are you ready to be grossed out? I went and looked at all the research done as to how many dogs there are in a city by population, how many dogs are walked, and then how many dogs are not picked up after. And according to my dog poo index, I don't have Horicon, I used to, but in my list right now, I have Watertown. Every year, 32 tons of dog poo washed down the city streets and into the Rock River. 32 tons. It's amazing. So pick up after your dog. It is significant. And if anybody wants to see my dog poo index, you want the geeky stuff, there it is. And I can provide you the research that it came from. Other things in cities, believe it or not, leaves can be a major source of phosphorus because they're going directly from the being crushed up by tires, washing into the storm drains. The storm drains are connected to the rivers and lakes, and they wash in there, they break down, and yum, the algae love it. The other things I hear a lot about are salt and heavy metals. They're not in the top 3, but they can be a concern, and salt is becoming more of a concern. How else am I going to show you heavy metals than this? Heavy metals coming from cars. Anytime you put something in a car and you have to replace it, or the rust on the side of my old car is going someplace. It's going into sediments, going into our water, and some of those are heavy metals that are toxic. And of course we have, what else can run off that we can do something about? Fertilizer. It was in my hand. Plant food. If it's plant food for your agricultural fields and you pay money and you put it on your agricultural fields and then it washes off, you've now lost that money that you put into those agricultural fields or on your yard, and it grows algae. This is dissolved and the algae love it. And what's the ratio? 1 pound of phosphorus can grow 500 pounds of algae. It's amazing. It's amazing. Of course, there are other things that can be toxic. Anything that you put in your car that you have to put in again, it's burning, it's going into the air, it's then going into the water. Not a major concern for us. It can be in some areas. And of course, your pesticides can be an issue in some areas. But these are minor compared to, when you think of them, ooh, yuck, they're poisons, they're toxic. They're really not as big a problem as soil. Soil's really your number one. Believe it or not, that natural thing, or the natural thing coming out of the back end of this animal, are a couple of the things that we really have to try and figure out ways that we in our own life can adjust. So I don't own a cow, so I can't pick up after my cow, but I can pick up after my dog. So I can do my things, and I hope that you all can do yours. So thank you. I hope you've enjoyed our program here. We have programs tomorrow. We're going to be in Hustisford, and we're going to be looking kind of similar to this. We're looking at placemaking and downtowns. Tomorrow we're going to be looking at recreation and not at the economic benefits of recreation. Then the next day we're going to be down in Harnisch-Veger County Park, and we're going to be looking at agriculture and how a local nonprofit, a land trust, can work with farmers to reduce that sediment and phosphorus that are coming from farmlands through the work between a partnership between a nonprofit land trust and the farmers. So that's the next 3 days. Then we're going to take a couple days off, and our next program after that will be Jefferson, where we'll look at fisheries, because the water, our Rock River, is more than just the nasty things. It's also the beautiful things like our fish and our animals. So I hope to see you there.